I think we were a little bit distracted by the oil per se. Because and it really took me, and again, I've been working at this 18 hours a day for 3 days straight. And what I realized is it's no longer just about oil. Oil, of course, yeah, important. But what's going on, and I'll just give you a little taste. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't heard it, this is the only thing dominating the news in America today.
The shattering explosions come every few minutes in the besieged Syrian city of Homs. Residents say government troops are using rockets and heavy artillery in a bombardment that has gone on for days. As the shells fall, the slaughter mounts. Another 60 men and women and children were reported killed today, but residents say they cannot even count the dead anymore.
We can't even count the dead anymore. Now we talked on the last show, John. We talked about, why is this being hyped up about Syria? What is going on? There is so much incredible hype that there must be something happening. Did you pick up on anything? I mean, we've been waiting for this in the New York Times. Has anything happened with Syria?
Anything new?
Well, no. I mean, all of a sudden it seems like someone turned the on switch and pushed it towards 11 and said, We got it. Syria. It's all about Syria. Syria, 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 Syria.
Well, I have a bunch of thoughts on this too, with a bunch of clips. Yeah, but I'm more now interested in what you think you've dug up.
Okay.
I preface it with the word unnecessary.
So I'm going to tell you that this is not about oil. This is about gas. And it only really struck me when I started to gather a couple of maps. Now, John, get your browser ready because I'm going to give you a URL.
Okay, browser ready, boss.
Is your browser ready?
Browser's ready. It's up and ready. Should I be in the Google box or should I be in the URL box?
URL box. Put your cursor in the URL box.
All right, I'm ready.
Because once you load this, you only have like 20 seconds, and the rest of the listeners are going to go get it. It's going to crash the server. All right? Ready?
Yeah.
Pipelines.curry.com. You got it? Pipelines.curry.com. Tell me when you have the page loaded.
Page is up.
Page is up. All right. So I've
picture you when you're 10.
Now scroll down a little. Yes, that's it. It's his fault. Okay, first, and people at home can play along with this. So I want to show you, these are not maps I created. These are ones I got from presentations. Don't scroll to the bottom. Just stay where you are, okay? You with me? All right.
Yeah.
So the first picture here shows the state of the gas. It says oil and gas, but it'll be about gas, and you'll find out why. So on the right here, you see all this Russian region. You see bits of Iraq and Iran, and you see that's the largest oil and gas sources of the world. And the market, the largest market, is Europe, right? That's the second largest market. Of course, we have other big markets, but that is a huge oil market, right? Gas market. And, of course, the natural route of transit is through Turkey, going from, and a lot of this, if you go to the second one, you see these are all the pipelines. So we have the pipelines, we have the South Stream, the Blue Stream, and you'll see that a lot of this goes through the Ukraine, through Slovakia. They built the South Stream, which, this is interesting, which goes through Greece, and then from Greece it goes to Italy. And, of course, Europe is highly dependent upon gas for a number of reasons. And gas became very important in this past year. The reason
gas has become also, we have to note, there's to back your thesis up here, the recent memes about the cold weather in Europe and people dropping dead is one of these things that makes people start to think about this.
Well, there's one other reason, which I didn't actually realize, but Japan is it has a huge demand now for natural gas. Why? Because they no longer have their nuclear facility. And the next option next to nuclear when it comes to what is the cleanest, what is the cheapest, and what is the easiest to deal with is natural gas. Now, you'll recall that right after Fukushima, Germany said, oh, that's it. We're shutting down all our nuclear plants. No more nukes. Yeah. So they need more gas to generate electricity. And that's just a side note, but something to bear in mind. So
First of all, before you continue, our basic premise in show 200.5, that it's always about the oil, it applies to gas.
It does, but there's something else that happened that we have probably forgotten that changed the entire picture and will explain everything. And I think it's a model we can apply to everything that's happening. Scroll down to the
name for this title for the show already.
Good. Scroll down.
Big T's.
Scroll down to the third map. Now this is the Arab gas pipeline. And you'll see the Arab gas pipeline starts down there at Arish, right? This is where Egyptian gas was shipped into Arish, and then the pipeline goes all the way up, passing Israel on the right-hand side.
It actually bypasses
Israel, Damascus, up to Homs. Gee, where have I heard that name recently? Every 10 seconds on the news. Scroll down to the fourth map. What's interesting is the Arab gas pipeline only goes to Homs. It's not complete because the mission is to complete the final 230 kilometers into Turkey, known as the Syrian-Turkey pipeline. So what was happening is we had natural gas being shipped in, and this is in many ways, competitive to all the Russian gas. You with me? Although the Russians are in on everyone's in on it, particularly Europe, and the Russians are also in on the Syrian-Turkey pipeline. So this is the way that gas was flowing, and we're going to relate this back to Arab Spring in a moment. What happened on December 30th of 2010?
I don't know. You tell me, Adam.
We discussed it, but we didn't really think about what the true, and all this is in the show notes, by the way. We didn't think about the true parameters of what this meant. The Leviathan gas field was discovered. This is the largest discovery of gas in our century, and it's right off the coast of Israel, the northern coast of Israel, and it goes all the way basically to Cyprus. Oh boy, isn't that interesting? So all of a sudden, the entire dynamics changed. Israel, which has always had to import their gas, and they imported it, by the way, straight from Syria through that Arab pipeline, Israel now will become one of the largest suppliers of gas. Now, if all of a sudden we have this huge gas field sitting right there in the Mediterranean, and we have the biggest consumer being Europe, what is the most logical route? The most logical route is to go through Cyprus straight into Greece, bypassing that entire other chart that you saw, bypassing this entire deal that you've seen with the Arab pipeline, the Arab gas pipeline. So,
and Cyprus is owned by the Russians.
Cyprus is owned partially by the Russians. Cyprus is owned partially by Greece. Turkey is very pissed off about the whole Cyprus thing. But who do we see showing up in Cyprus? We see Hillary Clinton showing up. There's a company there called Noble Energy. And Noble Energy has very tight ties to the Bush family and the Clinton family because Israel got a little bit greedy and they said, hey, you know, those laws we had in 1951 about how if we ever had any kind of natural resources, we'd tax them really low. We're going to jack that up a little bit, if you don't mind. Just a little bit because, we can make some money here. And then Hillary Clinton immediately came out and said, hey, this is no good. And then she started working on something called the Law of the Seas. Remember that? The Law of the Seas, which determines the territory of each individual country, and all the rest belongs to the UN or some other bull crap like that?
Yeah, good.
Because who actually owns this? Well, Lebanon says it's theirs, or at least part of it. Israel's like, no. This is the promised land, man. This is what Moses brought us here for. This is ours. Cyprus is saying, you know what? I think maybe it's ours, but we've got Noble Energy here, the Houston-based company. We'll work with you. No problem. We'll be your buddies. And we've seen a whole lot of really interesting things happen between Israel and Cyprus, but also Greece. Homs, of course, is really important because you want two things to happen. Gas is very cheap right now. So we can't just say, oh.
It's depressed, actually.
Right. We can't just say, oh, here's all this gas, because it won't even be worth it to export it. But if we can create some kind of scarcity, i.e., let's blow up some pipelines, right? And what happens in homes? The pipelines, it's getting blown up continuously. Oop, blown up. Now, 3 months after this discovery, 3 months, the Arab Spring starts. I'll remind you that Egypt was exporting their gas into the Arab pipeline, which bypasses Israel. Not only do we see the entire regime and the whole country destabilized, but their pipeline was blown up 4 times during that time. 4 times. Libya. Libya was exporting their natural gas to Italy straight into Europe. That stopped. When all of a sudden we had the Arab Spring and the Libyan no-fly zone, stopped, done. No more natural gas was exported. They're trying to restart that, but they're not going to. Tunisia. Tunisia delivers natural gas to Italy via Algeria. So this has always been about the gas.